Hey humans, Batsy here with the 4th episode of the One Chunk Challenge. I had few ideas of what I wanted to do for this week, but at the end I just went with the first idea I had when I finished last time. This tree farm is not too bad. At first it was barely producing any wood, but after a little bit, it started growing trees every once in a while. But even then, it's still barely making any casings, so I decided to look into making a bone meal farm or something. Some people commented about making a warp tree farm, since Create will of course gather all those warp blocks, and those can be used to produce its own bone meal. I thought the idea was interesting, so I decided to go for that. According to the internet, warp trees can grow up to 27 blocks tall. That means there will be a lot of vertical space left around the farm, but I have a cool idea to fill up the rest of space. For now I'm just going to more or less mark the perimeter, so I know what I'm working with. I know right now this won't make a lot of sense, but having the main structure laid down should help keep things structured. At the very least, we really want to mark the 27 blocks tall for the warp trees, since they will grow through blocks, so if we don't leave enough room, they will appear through the ceiling into the next floor. I like this idea of making the main structure with metal girders and some lamps. I think it will give it a fairly open space look to it. At least as spacious as this little chunk can get anyway. My idea is that this corner on the left will have the warped trees growing on it. If I didn't count it wrongly, that should be 27 blocks to the ceiling. As for the other blocks, I thought on staying on theme, and just fill everything with crop farm. Literally all the crop farms, potatoes, carrots, wheat, pumpkins. Anything that can be harvested with minecarts. Not sure how it will end up looking, but I think the idea is good enough to give it a shot. Apparently, this is 27 blocks tall. I'm not gonna lie, this looks absolutely massive to me. I know warped trees can get pretty tall, but this looks too much honestly. For now let's start with the tree layout. We want to have 3 blocks in all directions from the sapling, since that's as wide as it can grow. We also want to have a second Nillium block on the side. In case the main one becomes netherrack, we need the second one to convert it back to Nillium. This much should be enough. The metal girders shouldn't be a problem. I'm pretty sure I want to start against the wall, and work from there, just in case things end up being slightly too big. Of course we need to do it with a contraption, otherwise it's not going to automatically gather all the wooden leaves. I know some prefer to use a mechanical bearing, but I honestly like gantries better. They just feel so much easier to set up in my opinion. All we need is 2 different gantries in opposite directions, so the gantry goes back and forth. Then we get a couple mechanical saws to chop down the trees. And I'm going to place down some trapdoors on the sides, just to make sure no warp block spawns there, and blocks the entire contraption. It looks kinda silly, but it's all for the sake of stability. And of course we want a funnel to dump down all the materials we're making. Yeah, I think this will do just fine. I've decided to add some glass around it, at least the first few layers, just in case items end up in the floor for some reason. Also moving this Nillium block to the other side. In case roots end up spawning there, so we don't break them constantly with the contraption. Just looking to prevent having rogue items laying around as much as possible, since we won't be able to collect those. Looks good enough for now. I think next I want to build the fungus farm. Chopping down trees won't drop saplings, so I thought making a farm similar to a moss farm. It just sounds like the easiest way to go about it, and also I want to make sure I get the most of every bone meal I use. The idea is simple. We have this 7x5 platform, we're going to bone meal it from below. Then we're going to use a line of trapdoors with water, that will flush all the items off the platform. Oh, I placed them the wrong way around, oops. Okay, now yes, the water is contained. So whenever we lift the redstone blocks, it should flush all the items into this vault down here. I'm trying to make sure the gantry is not on the way. Actually, I'm just going to move the gantry down to be sure I don't build anything in the way. So if I place the last vault now. Perfect, it's right on the gantry. Okay, so, the fungus farm. I'm going to place a line of funnels to gather all those materials. Then some chassis on the side. The reason for that is because the water is slow. I want to generate fungus much quicker, so, I'm just going to break the fungus by making the platform become an entity. Also, we need to remove those redstone blocks so the trapdoors go down, and a minecart is the easiest way to do it in my opinion. I think this is looking fairly alright thus far. I'm so happy that it fitted just perfectly. I think, before going any further, I should bring down a shaft with the power. Just to make sure it's not awkwardly in the middle. So, if I want the speed controller here, I probably want to move the shaft along this way then. And now maybe I bring the power down, so I move it along this line. Then maybe just connect this with a chassis. Alright, yes, let's do it like this. We just need to go up all the way, and connect it to the first thing I find. Awesome, we have some rotation now. So if we connect this chain drive now. It's not working. Why it's not working? Alright, yes, it's not glued together. Okay, so now, perfect, now it is working. Anyway, back to the fungus farm. We should make a platform to fit all the redstone. We're going to need to cycle between minecarts to make this work. But, I spent some time on the test world and I think I found a decent way to do it. At least as decent as my redstone knowledge goes. We're going to need a pulse repeater, a pulse extender, some redstone dust, a powered latch, and a lever. First we're going to make a basic loop. Making use of 2 pulse extenders. One facing forward, and one facing backwards. Both of them at 4 ticks. Then we place the powered latch behind them, and we complete the loop with redstone dust. This works perfectly. Now, if we power it up, we lift the entire platform. Now we need a way to stop it, so we can flush the platform every now and then. For that, let's remove this lever, and place another powered latch. Now we place a pulse repeater facing backwards, with a pulse extender in front of it. We need the first pulse to have a delay of 10 seconds. And the extender to keep the signal running for 4 more seconds, then we connect it to the latch. Now we move up a line of redstone dust. Then we place another repeater, and a pulse extender in front of it, connecting that to the cart in front. We want this repeater with a delay of 4 ticks. And the extender at 1 second. Slow the video, or pause it, if you want to recreate something similar. If we power it up now. The left loop should cycle on and off the platform, constantly producing roots, and fungus. Then every 10 seconds the right loop should lock the system, and flush it all into the vault. I have no idea if there is a better way of doing this, but, I'm so happy how it turned out, and it was incredibly fun to figure out on my own. And if you look down here, this looks silly, but it's how I'm triggering the dispenser whenever the platform becomes blocks again. I thought it was a funny way to do it. Producing the bone meal is very easy. I'm just going to use 2 rows of belts. Then add a bunch of chutes, and composters underneath. Then another belt in front of them. And because composters are slow, I'm just going to use a few normal hoppers to do the job. Then we move the belt up into the 3rd vault. And we extend a 2nd belt into the dispenser, so it starts producing the fungus, and we can use the leftover, like the warped roots, to produce the bone meal, as well as the warp blocks later on, from the tree farm. I'm going to make a filter with wart and roots so I don't forget later. And this section is pretty much done now. Let's go back to the tree farm, we haven't done a lot in a while. The first we need are 2 deployers. One to bone meal the fungus, the second one to bone meal the block, in case it gets converted to normal netherrack. We need the bottom deployer at a much lower speed, just in case vines appear, and also so we don't waste up any bone meal. Now to move the fungus, I think I'm just going to use a bunch of chutes under the deployer, and we can connect that with funnels and belts into the second vault. Up in this corner we also want to move the wart blocks to the second vault, that way we can produce the bone meal. And to finish, just a couple hoppers for the deployers, and we connect that with another funnel into the third vault. Yeah, I think everything looks alright. I have spent some time connecting things up, and I think everything is moving the right way. Holy, it's so dark down here. Next time I'm making a base in the sky, I swear. Let's place some bone meal. And let's see if this is working so far. This is awesome. It's working perfectly. And look. The deployer already brought one of the fungus into place. Oh, I forgot to connect this section. Is this even going the right way? Alright, 10 minutes of struggle later, we have everything set up. I'm going to fill it up with some bone meal so we give the system a fair head start. But look, some bone meal is already flowing in, the trees are growing too. Eventually, the system should produce more bone meal than it's consuming. At this point I decided to continue with the structure. It's almost done, and that will allow us to start placing down the farms. I also didn't notice up until I watched the replay, that a couple of the warp trees actually reached the 27 blocks. Up until the end I thought the wiki I read was wrong, I'm not gonna lie. Building the crop farms was really easy. It just took quite a long time, even with World Edit. I decided to go for 2 layers for each crop, including cactus, sugarcane, and bamboo. Since I had the space to do it, I thought, sure, why not? You might have noticed I added 1 row of deep slate tiles on each farm, and that's because I thought the easiest way to do this would be with minecarts. Doing it with gantries could have taken me twice as much, and it already took me hours to do. Though it wasn't a particularly hard job to do. While we watch me build 100 farms, it's that time of the video where I ask you to subscribe, and to thank you so much if you made it this far into the video, and the constant support I've been getting. You humans are the best. I would explain in more detail what I'm doing, but honestly, it's just a couple fields, with a couple crops. Though I'm really pleased on how the metal girders ended up looking with the fields, I think that was a really good idea. Especially while going down with the elevator in the middle. You can clearly see all the farms as you go down. Looking back at it, I think I should have done 1 single very tall minecart contraption, at least 1 for each one of the columns. Which I might still change between episodes, since that might reduce the lag in the long run. Having this many minecarts doesn't help with the noise either, I had to play with those sounds disabled. Either way was fairly simple to set up. A couple chassis to hold either the harvesters for the crops, or the mechanical saws for the rest. If you're interested in learning about minecart contraptions. It's a shameless plug, but I have a video where I go in detail about them, and it honestly shows them much clearer than this mess of a chunk. And after several hours of building, it's pretty much done. I normally explain while I'm building, but I noticed checking the recordings that it was a bit messy to watch. Especially since I was moving all over the place fixing carts, and placing things down, on very narrow spaces, with moving carts, and everything. So I thought the replay mod would give a better view on the matter. Anyway, let me show you what I have done. I think it's really cool. First thing, if we look down, you see how cool the view is from here. I'm really pleased with the effect it gives. I'm still convinced I'm going to reduce the number of minecarts, but I really love how it looks. I have also added this neat little setup. All the storage interfaces are connected to the same chute, which brings all items down to the same vault. I thought it was a really cool way to do it. And if we look back, boom. We got even more chutes. I so love how it looks. Between the carts moving, and the chutes, it really has a very industrial look to it. It's also fairly bright in here, which as you might notice, it took so many lights to achieve. Then if we look down here, we have this crazy looking diagonal, I don't know why, I thought it was really funny, so I left it as is. Oh, also, while I was building, look how many bone meal we ended up with, pretty much 4,000. And if we go down, there is, I think it says 2,500 fungus. And over 7,000 logs, combined. That's from having it running for an hour, I think, because at some point I turned it off because of the noises. I'm really happy with how much build this ended up producing, even if it was the side product to sustain itself, it made so much. But look! I have also added some barrels with some filters so we can actually take the items separately. It's not very pretty from behind, but it does work just fine. And also over this side, I did the same but with the food. I think everything ended up looking really cool. Oh, and a ladder here to check my super messy, but very proud redstone. I hope you had fun watching this episode. I really loved making the tree farm, and all those silly looking crop fields. As always, remember that it's alright to do silly things, not everything needs to be perfect and efficient, so don't hesitate to do crazy stuff. Take care everyone, and I will see the humans next time.